Hello and welcome back. So this is part 2 of my hacking network protocols, specifically DHCP. So in this video, we are going to see how to mitigate from such attacks on DHCP networks from the video we watched earlier, part 1. So to mitigate from these kind of attacks, the first thing that you gotta do is to have a managed switch. A managed switch comes with an operating system and several security features that you can implement within your network, and it helps you to manage your network. Now, in this scenario, in our previous video, we used just a normal switch which can be managed. So the first step we need to take is to get a managed switch for our institution that we find ourselves in. So here I'm going to bring in a Cisco switch. So I'm going to connect my nodes back, and I'm going to introduce you to a feature called DHCP Snooping. So to understand DHCP Snooping is a security mechanism that acts like a firewall between untrusted hosts on a network and trusted DHCP servers, which means the mechanism will only trust a port from which DHCP messages will be sent to and from, and it will also block ports that doesn't trust to release DHCP information, right? So I have my network set up. So within my institution, I got my institution a new Cisco switch which supports DHCP Snooping. So I'm going to turn my router on, and even before I turn my router on, let me first turn my switch on, and let's configure the switch to suit our network so that no DHCP attacks can happen within our network. So the switch is up, and I'm going to turn my router up. So router is started. So I'll open the console to the switch, console to the router. So let me drag and drop them here. So this is for this router, and this is for the switch. I'll increase the font a bit for your viewing pleasure. Okay, same applies to the router. The router has the same configurations as the one we did earlier. So change font. Don't worry, I'm changing the font size in the background. It will take effect. Right. So I have router 1 over here, and then I have my switch over here. Let me squeeze it a little. Okay. So on router 1, show run shows me the same running configurations as we configured for the first video. So in this video, much attention is going to be focused on the switch. So let's go ahead and configure the switch, because it's the most important thing. Is the new security feature or security control that we've asked our management to get for us, and therefore as network administrators, we should configure this switch to prevent DHCP attacks. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to configure DHCP Snooping globally on the switch. So to do that, we go to configuration mode and enable IP DHCP. See tons of options, but we have this option here, DHCP Snooping, and as you can see, enter. This enables DHCP Snooping globally on our switch. So by default, there's no VLANs on our switch, so do show VLAN shows us that by default every port on the switch is in a native VLAN. So we should enable DHCP Snooping on the switch. VLAN 1. So by default, DHCP snooping was enabled globally on the switch, and now it has been enabled for VLAN 1 because VLAN 1 has all the ports in that VLAN by default. That's the native VLAN. So what do we do next? Now we've configured DHCP snooping globally on the switch. Now we need to find ports that we can trust, where DHCP will be leased from, or where the switch feels comfortable to receive valid DHCP messages from. So here in our network, we can see interface Ethernet 01 is pointing to the router, which happens to be our DHCP server that we trust. So what do? We go to that interface E config T, interface E/01, and we enable DHCP. We bind it to that interface as a trusted port. So IP DHCP Trust, IP DHCP Snooping Trust. So now we've trusted this port over here to accept DHCP or UDP packets for us. So DHCP information will only be accepted on this interface. So if only this port is going to accept DHCP information, what do we do about the other ports? So in our network, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 ports connecting to our switch, and we all know for sure that Kali is connected on interface 00, which is the network pointing to the switch, from which our attack is going to come from. So what do? We have to set a security control that will limit the number of discover packets that is going to come from Kali. So, and therefore, whenever it goes beyond that limit, the port will be blocked, and therefore there will be no threat to our DHCP network. So what do? We drop back to global configuration mode, config T. So interface E/0 IP DHCP snooping limit rate, and let's say 5 packets. So once 5 packets has gone into the switch will block that port. DHCP discover packets. Okay, let me make it 10. 10 is normal. And one thing that you should know is that we can specify IP ranges. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you. So config T, interface ranges, config T. So interface range, and we can specify a whole lot of ranges. So let me use the range so that it can be enlightened. So E/0 to, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's choose this 3 for 3 IP DHCP snooping limit, so rate followed by 10. So within these ports, wherever we are going to receive DHCP discover packets more than 10, the port is going to drop into error disable mode. Now that we are done, there's one thing that we should configure too. It's not necessary, but it's a good practice. So no IP DHCP information, no IP snooping, no IP DHCP snooping information option, to avoid a switch receiving numerous DHCP information from neighboring devices. Right. So now we are good to go. So I forgot. So assuming the packets are sent from the attacking machine, and the port goes into blocking state, or the port has been shut down, and assuming it's a whole weekend, we are not available. And what do? We have to set a mechanism that will auto recover the port after the port has been blocked. So to do that, we type the command config T error disable recovery. course DHCP rate limit. So what you are saying is when there's an error, disable the port should recover from a course from DHCP rate limit as we specified up there, and we should specify the interval at which it will recover. So error disable, recover the port after an interval of, let's say, how do we have here, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. All right, so the port has been well configured. So show run shows me the configuration on the port. As you can see, we have DHCP Snooping enabled for VLAN 1, and also we have what next, rate limit configured on this interface. As you can see, the interface that we configured over there, the interface range. So back to GNS3, I'm going to start Kali. So Kali is booting up. Yes, Kali is booting up. I'll minimize the window and I'll start my Linux PC. So it's up. So this time around, I'm going to start all these PCs. Start and start. Okay, so let me open the console to PC1. And PC1 has surely gotten an IP address, and as you can see, that's it. Let me open the console to PC2. PC2 has got an IP address. PC3 has gotten an IP address. So that's for PC2 and that's for PC1. So there's the router, sorry. So PC1, so this is PC1 over there. So let me go back to the router, and this time around our network is functioning very well. So show IP DHCP bindings shows me that we have 3 IP addresses that has been leased. Kali should get an IP address. Okay, so show IP DHCP pool shows me 3 IP addresses has been leased. So let me get on to Kali. Okay, it's now booting. That's why it has been then assigned an IP address. So I'll pause the video and resume when Kali has booted up, because now we are only waiting for Kali. Okay, so welcome back. Kali is up, so we can log into Kali and checking from the router. We should get 4 IP addresses leased. So yes, so we have 4 IP addresses leased. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there we go. So on the router, I want to check what is going on. Sorry, on the switch. So I'll type debug IP DHCP server events. So Kali is up. I'll start my hacking tool that we used in the previous video. So if config shows me the configuration on the IP address on the Kali. So I've started Ccna, and as you can see, the 2 is up. I want to show you the debugging. Okay, so I'm going to start the attack. Launch attack. DHCP discover packet. Sent. And now let's check on the switch. You should see something over here. So as you can see, let me stop the attack and show you, explain to you what's really going on. So list attacks, stop all, close. So switch 1, DHCP snooping. For DHCP snooping error disable warning. DHCP snooping received 10 So I've turned the debugging off. So receive 10 discover packets from the DHCP Rogue server on Kali, asking for DHCP IP addresses, and therefore the interface is receiving more than the threshold. So DHCP rate limit error detected on that interface based on the configuration that we set on the switch, putting ETA0 in error disable state. And we also set the port to auto recover in 30 seconds time. So the line protocol on the interface fast Ethernet 00 was changed to down. So it went down and it's still down and it's still down. And after 30 seconds, the interface came up, and the line protocol is up. So that's how to secure your network with a Cisco switch or a managed switch running DHCP snooping to prevent DHCP snooping attacks on your network. So thanks for watching this video. I'm very grateful, and I hope to see you in my next video where we talk about DTP, and see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.